in business, in corporate, and in family, I think that all the same. It starts from you. If you want people to talk, you need to talk first. The more you share about yourself, the less barrier you get. Remove your mask. Like the same. If you launch a business, people are a bit ashamed or yeah, but what would people think, right? But if people don't know that you're gonna start a business, who's gonna buy from you, right? Put it out there. Write it. You don't care. I'm starting a business. This is my business, and here it is. I post on social media. I tell to everyone, every single person I meet in the street, hey, I'm starting a business. Because at some point, there will always going to be someone, I need that service, or I need someone that needs something.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Family Man Entrepreneurs. I'm here today with Coach Martin. I am super lucky to have him on the show. He is an amazing coach. His business is SS Mentor, and we're here to talk about entrepreneurship, how it applies to men that want to go into entrepreneurship, any obstacles they see or any blocks they might have. It's going to be very, very interesting conversation. So, welcome, Martin. How are you doing?
Thank you. First of all, thanks for receiving me, Mark, and doing very well. Thanks.
Good, good. I am very, very happy to have you on. Can you explain a bit about your background in coaching? Because you have a lot of experience with leadership and coaching. It's a wonderful combination. We'd love the audience to hear that.
Sure. So let me maybe in 30 seconds kind of bring the background, what drove me to coaching, actually. I have a long career, I would say more than 2 decades, not to say 30 years, in business in general. So leadership, executive positions. I've worked with big corporations like Costco, SAS, and Macro and Metro in Europe, up to startup and in mini companies, work with solopreneur. I have my own businesses as well. So I've been doing the full scope of leadership and business and management in different countries. So I'm in Thailand now. Thailand is my 10th country where I've worked and lived in. So I kind of have a broad scope of what leadership and people are in general. And in the last couple of years, I've been doing mainly contracting work for companies that brought me in for leadership roles for a short time to restructure the team or focus on performance and stuff like that. And I realized over the last couple of years that the part of leadership that really turns me on is coaching people and bring them up to a certain level, right? Changing the mindset, changing the way they see things or approach things, work as a team in a corporate environment. And I decided beginning of this year that I'm going to do this full time, because that's really where I make a difference on people's life, more than, crunching numbers and stuff like that. Anybody can do it. But the personality and my own belief actually make a difference for people. So I've decided to do it as a full-time coach. I'm a trained coach. I'm a consultant. I have 20 plus years of experience in leadership. So what I do now is I consult and coach in the same time. So I'm not only a typical coach where, we talk about mindset and motivation and stuff, which is crucial, by the way. And I'm not the typical consultant who do thousands of PowerPoint and leave people clueless of what to do with it. So I kind of combine both. I do coach the people and I consult the problem. I do bring practical solutions and drive the people to implement them. So that's what I do in the corporate world. However, I found out over the last couple of months that there's a different needs in the market, and this is what I call aspiring entrepreneur, and especially in men, our range of 40 to 50, 55 years old, people that have experienced stagnation in their job. They're not happy anymore. They have, their 9 to 5 is boring. They cannot see what else after that. And even worse, so when they lose their job or get changed or redundant, whatever, as you grow older, it's getting more and more difficult to find an alternative, right? Even though companies like in America or Europe, they say, yeah, we inclusive, blah, blah, blah. On paper, they are. In reality, yeah, bullshit. It's not happening like this. So it's getting, as you grow older, you put yourself at risk. And I realize over time that there's a lot of entrepreneur inside. There's a lot of people that want to change their life. And they've been dreaming about it for years. And if nothing happened, they'll be dreaming about it again in 10 years from now. And what's happening is these guys, or women, the same thing, but the people I coach the most are men. They don't have the support first. So when they talk about the ideas of doing business with their spouse or their kids or their children or their friends, people say, why don't you get a job like everybody else? You're going to fail. Don't do this. It's risky. So right from the bat, they said, no, it's not for me. Then they think, I don't have the skills. I've never been to business school, or I don't have the skills, or I've been doing the same job for 20 years. I don't know how to manage a business. So there's a lot of what I call false assumption, including I don't have money, I cannot do business, which is completely wrong. So there's a lot of misconception about doing business. And my role is I come in and we discuss these assumptions and make them see different perspective. And once the mindset is more into the positive, then we start talking about what is the business for you. Right? And that's how I become mostly entrepreneur coaching now, because I combine both the mindset and the practical things. I've been there, done that. I'm 50 years old too. So I know what these guys are feeling, especially with family, right? It's juggling my responsibility as a family, as a, not owner, but let's say maybe I would say the breadwinner, we say in English.
Mm-hmm.
The people bring the salary at home. If I start a business, I'm going to put everything at risk. I can't do that. So there's a lot of misconception there. Or if I start a business, I'm going to have to work, 80 hours a week, which is also not true. It depends on what you want. So they're simply not doing it. And they come to a point after a certain age where they just get regrets, right? I should have done it. And it's never too late, but the more you wait, the harder it gets. Mm-hmm. But when I coach, so go ahead. I talk too much, so ask question first.
No. Welcome. You're welcome to talk, please. There's a lot to unpack there. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. I just wanted to ask to those guys that you said you listed a lot of false assumptions and
right.
Kind of excuses that people make for themselves, even if they don't consider it excuses. They are.
It's not conscious, but it's an excuse.
It's not conscious. It's not done with ill will or anything. It's just limiting beliefs in the sense that I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Limiting belief.
And it's I say 99% of the times because you're at some point told you can't do that, or because of the media, or because of your co-workers, or whatever.
Your upbringing.
Right? Exactly. Or you've seen your parents just slave away in a job they didn't like for so many years, and you think like that's just the way to do it.
That's life. Yeah.
And if you have a client that has a question like, I am the breadwinner of the house, like my partner's taking care of the kids, they can maybe work a bit, but we want to be with the kids, so we want to be spending time with them. I don't want to lose the house. I don't want to do anything like that. I want to make sure I have some money. What advice could you give those men?
Right. It's quite simple, actually. And that's true whether you have a family or not, by the way. People have the fear to lose. The fear to fail or to risk something is what normally blocks. And the day that the sadness inside is stronger than the fear of losing, this is where you make a move. But to answer your question there, entrepreneurship is very large. And the beauty of it is you can shape it the way you want. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean having a startup with 200 employees and have like a unicorn type of thing. Entrepreneurship can mean very little. Right? What I teach people, what I coach people, it all started with your personal vision. What do you want to be in 5 years? You, not the family, not the society. What do you want to be in 5 years? And this could be, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to be with my family most of the time. So it depends what you want to achieve. And once you're clear on that one, my suggestion for an aspiring entrepreneur is you build the business according to the lifestyle you want to have, right? Because if you do this, your business will support your ambitions in your lifestyle. If you don't do this, you will end up being a slave to your business, and then you will work 80 hours a week, probably for less money than if you get a job, and you're going to have stressed out, and you're not going to be happy. You're going to be an entrepreneur, but not a happy one, right? Because you don't spend enough time defining what is it that you really want. I give you an example. It's actually a woman, but I coach a woman, and when we first talking about the business, she said, I want to become open my accounting firm. And I asked her, why accounting? Just curious, right? That's my job to ask questions. She said, because when I was young, my dad says, you're the clever one in the family, you're going to go study accounting. So she studied accounting, and for 20 years she worked in accounting. So said, I'm gonna start my business now. I think she's 51. I'm gonna start my business. I'm gonna have an accounting firm. I said, do you like accounting? She said, no, I hate it. I said, why do you do? Why are you gonna start a business that you hate for less money than you have, for more stress? And then she started reflecting, and she ended up now, she will do like house flipping and stuff like that. But just to demonstrate that the majority of the time people think that starting a business, you need to start with something that you know. And what you know is sometimes the thing that makes you unhappy to begin with. Because if you're happy with it, you don't even think about starting a business. So one of the advice to revert back to your question is, take some time to reflect, and maybe take 6 months to reflect on what exactly do you want it. And a lot of work I do with aspiring entrepreneurs, the first 2-3 sessions, we don't even talk about the business idea at all. We just talk about the aspiration and what's the roadmap to get there and what's the skill gap that you need to get where you want to go. And having a business doesn't mean you need to leave your job tomorrow and start a business. It could mean that you start preparing for the next 1 to 2 years, having product or services develop on hustle on a sideline, and you eventually develop this and gain customer and gain confidence, and you prove what I call a proof of concept. You prove that at a very little scale it works. So if you dedicate yourself full time, then there's a proven concept, right? But of course, if you leave everything today, and I would never recommend that, don't leave your job today to start a business you never heard of or never did before, because you will fail. And by the way, and that's something I coach to every single entrepreneur, you will fail. That's guarantee. You will fail, and probably multiple times. And most of the most successful entrepreneurs we see today, like Elon Musk and all these guys, they've failed many, many times, but nobody talk about it. They see the success, right? So if you start a business with the idea that everything's going to be perfect from day one, I mean, you may be lucky, fine, but the majority of the time you will fail. You will make mistakes. You will have to fall on your knees and get up again and learn and do it. That's the entrepreneur spirit. You fail, you get on your knees, you learn, you get up again and do again. So that's the mindset. That's the spirit. But that's balancing what you want, right?
I always pictured in my mind as kind of a pinball machine where you are kind of bouncing between all the different ideas and little projects, and see what works and what doesn't work, and see if you like it, and if you're like, okay, I tried this, but it's not really my thing after all. And then at the end, you do find the projects that you.
I call it, maybe funny to say that, but I call it flirting. There's a period of time when you're not sure what to do. You flirt with different ideas. You start this, you try this, then you discover yourself. You discover what works, what doesn't work, and you learn along the way, right? It's like dating for a bit before you're getting married.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the same principle.
Yeah. And it's and what you mentioned before as well about being authentic, which is what obviously that you did. You said, "This is what makes me happy. I'm going to start a business doing like exactly what I like. I've done different things, and this is what I like." It reminded me of a book by, I don't know if you know Sir Ken Robinson. I think he has a book called, I think it's named Element or something like that. It's about people that.
I think I've seen that, like your genius zone or your element,
Yeah, so to be in your element. But he interviewed people that were doing different things in life, and then somehow or another found their calling, found their not even their super calling, like divine thing, but just in terms of
I know what you mean.
they finally decided to be themselves, and part of that was finding the profession that they wanted to do. And they did all see that once they started being authentic, once they actually going full steam ahead in what they wanted to do, like what really felt good for them, they got ahead so much faster than they would have otherwise. So, for example, this lady might have had an accounting company, but it would have, as you said, been a struggle. It would have been tiring. It would have been kind of swimming upstream the whole time.
Exactly.
So I love that point you made.
You know, the funny thing is, because you mentioned about authenticity in business, and I also call it passion. The funny thing is, passion sells, right? If someone's passionate about their product, whatever it is, you meet someone that sells a service, a product, or he's passionate about, you want to take my money, man. I don't like, you're so passionate. I'm sold. Even I don't even know the product. But the opposite is also true. If
Yeah.
you don't believe in your product and your service and your board, now it feels like a sales pitch, and people don't like
Hmm.
to buy from people that sells. That's a human nature. So having a passion in what you do actually attract customer and attract money over time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's important to find who you are, what you want.
Hmm. Yeah. I confess I follow people on Facebook whose services I may not buy, but they are so
Yeah.
passionate about what they
Yeah,
do and have
correct.
so much fun making their promotional videos and actually doing what they do. And you can just it's something you feel, right? If you're with
Yeah,
someone
you can feel it.
and yeah, you can feel it. They really
You
love what
cannot
they
fake
do.
passion. You cannot
No,
fake
you
passion.
no, no fancy sales pitch will fake proper passion. So it's really I just follow them just to see their authenticity because it's wonderful. It's just nice to see that joy, that energy they bring to the world.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you about all your experience with leadership teams.
Right.
How what did you learn in that experience that men can take home to their family, for example? How can that skill set in the corporate world be applicable to their family life, even if it's just with the partner?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, but if I reflect quickly about leadership and family, I think one thing that as really to the core is leadership is about people. We often forget that in the corporate world. And I was talking to a colleague of mine in human resources last week. She's a professional. And one thing that I says is we have a tendency to forget that there's a word human in human resources. From the process of hiring and job description and how to
Yeah.
manage people, we have a checklist, we have a process, we have a evaluation, whatever it is. We forget that there's a human out there, right? Or in there. And in business in general, is 80-90% human, is people. Your staff is a people, your customers people, your stakeholder are people, the investors are people. So if you don't understand that leadership is about people, you fail. It's not numbers. Numbers just derive of that. It's just a couple of
Hmm.
things on paper, but it's people. And if you take that back to your family, it's also not about, doing the homework and doing the course and everything that you have in your family is about people. And what I find out in leadership is if you want to get people to follow you, to work with you, to have a good environment, you need to investigate to understand what's in it for them, what do they want, right? It's a little bit like revert back to the business side of it.
Hmm.
If you do launch a product or a service, you do your marketing. The first thing they teach you in marketing is know your persona. Who do you sell to? What's the target? How old they are? Where do they live? What did they do for a living? The more you know about that person, the more you get an efficient marketing program, and the more you sell. And it's the same thing with leadership, and it's the same thing with the family, especially with the spouses, wife, and men's. We have different views, different perspective in life, right? But if we just stop at what we know, what we think the truth is, there's no truth. Her truth and my truth is going to be different, but it's still the truth, right? So it's about making the effort of understanding what is that person. The same with the kids. What do they want? What do they aspire to? If you can appeal to their aspiration, not I mean needs is something for sure,
Hmm.
but beyond that, because need you can fulfill. You have food on the table, you have a house, you have your new car, whatever the needs are. But beyond that is aspiration. What do they want to become? Where do
Hmm.
they want to go with
Yeah.
you, right? And for kids, depend on their age. And in young age, they just want to spend time with dad. And as they grow older, they want to get left alone and just give me the money once a week and that's it. As they get even older,
Yeah.
they expect support and the wisdom and things like that. So they have different expectation along their lifespan. The same with spouses. The
Hmm.
same as an enterprise or a business. So you need to be very, very mindful, conscious about what are the people expect at different stage.
Hmm.
That would be my comparison between businesses and family.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that. So it's a lot of it will be about communication and just with your team at the office, making
Right.
sure you're on the same level because very often you can see that in daily interactions in the corporate world and family life. People assume a lot of things about
Yeah.
the other person, which may not necessarily be true.
Right.
So that's a very good point you made. So in terms of communication in let's say the workplace. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur and
Right.
you want to present yourself to the world, or you want to, or if you're in the corporate world and you want to improve communication with your team members, and you want them to be a bit more open as well, like just improve the line of communication. Uh, what what advice can you give for those people?
In in business, in corporate, and in family, I think that all the same. It starts from
Hmm.
you. If you want people to talk, you need to talk first. You know? The more you share about yourself, the less barrier you get. Remove your mask. Like
Hmm.
the same. If you launch a business, people are a bit ashamed, or yeah, but what would people think, right? But if people don't know that you're going to start a business, who's going to buy from you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Put
yeah.
it out there. Write it.
Hmm.
You don't care. I'm starting
Yeah.
a business. This is my business, and
Hmm.
here it is. I post on social media. I tell to everyone, every single person I
Hmm.
meet in the street, hey, I'm starting a business, because at some point there will always going to be someone's. I need that service, or I need someone
Yeah.
that needs something, right?
Hmm.
And the same thing with leadership. If you are the first to talk about, this is my expectation, this is my agenda. I call agenda because that's often the reason for politics. Every single people have agenda, including in the
Hmm.
family. If you expose your agenda transparently to the world in corporate, this is what I expect, this is what I want, this is why I want it, whether people perceive it right or not, this is what it is. Then
Hmm.
people start opening up, and there's no secret, it's out there. You cannot challenge me on something that I'm hiding, because I hide nothing.
Yeah.
This is authenticity,
Yeah.
right? And when you start doing it, when you take the lead on these type of communication, the rest will follow. Because especially if you're in a leadership position, executive position, and you share these things, and you share your weaknesses, and you celebrate your mistakes,
Hmm.
that's a good thing in corporate too, is people are afraid to do mistakes, and therefore the companies don't
Hmm.
progress. And I can see the relation with the families as well. We're so afraid of making a wrong move that we make no moves at all.
Yeah.
And this is where we have stagnation. And I coach companies sometimes to say, I call it license to fail, right? Authorize, allow people to fail, and not only that, celebrate when they fail. Because if someone comes to me and say, I never make mistakes, you have no respect. I don't give you any respect whatsoever. That means you don't push the limits, you don't reinvent yourself, you don't
Yeah.
try anything new. You're not contributing to my company because
Hmm.
you're just stay there and waiting for your salary. You make no mistake. I want you to make mistake. Calculated
Yeah.
risk, of course. And if you do the same one, two, three times, we have a problem. But if you make mistakes, it proves me that you've tried something new. You've tried to advance the company. The same with, I think the same with the family. If you try new things, it could be from intimate perspective, or even as a family outgoing and try, go to a new restaurant and cook something new at night. Like try something new, and keep the excitement out there. And sometimes you fail, and sometimes your idea was not a good idea, and
Hmm.
sometimes your idea is just make, oh my god,
Yeah.
that, create the unexpected. In the business world, the same as a family, I think, create the
Yeah.
unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And what you said about the not having fear of failure, that's or feeling a bit more comfortable with just making little mistakes, and that's absolutely fine. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
of the example of parents that actually take that advice or actually
Right.
learned how to be uncomfortable or be comfortable making those little
Yeah.
mistakes. And what a beautiful example that gives to the kids, because obviously kids do that naturally anyway. They just, that's how you
Absolutely.
learn. And I have to say,
This
very
is
often with
education.
school,
This is real
yeah,
education.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So with school, very often it gets programmed out of them, but
Yeah.
that's how you learn, right? You have to make little mistakes and you have to find your way, and that's how you learn. That's how
Yeah.
um, every life event can be an opportunity to learn.
Absolutely.
And
The danger in our society today is and that applies to businesses, to leadership, and to families as well, is we value comfort zone,
Mhm.
right? We the fear of making mistake, the fear of making people unhappy, the fear of trying something that might not be the right thing. So it's more comfortable to stay into a certain zone of what we are used to it. And yet people say, yeah, go out of the comfort zone. It's easy to say, not easy to
Yeah.
do. So
Hmm.
what I suggest people is, this is like a muscle. Yeah, you train it every day. Do a little bit of something different. Go to work and take a different route tomorrow morning. Or stupid, but you always sleep on the right side of the bed. Tonight,
Yeah.
sleep at the left side of the bed.
Hmm.
Small increment, little change. If you want to be bold, leave your cell phone, iPhone at home for a day. See what happens. You're going to be very uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
practice being uncomfortable until this become comfortable to a point. And I just take my own like example. I hate being comfortable. If I'm comfortable, I provoke change.
Hmm.
I'm to that level now where if I'm comfortable, I feel I'm missing something. Something supposed to happen now. It's not happening. So I will create uncomfort for myself. But this is years and years of practice and failing and learning the hard way in some cases. But I'm comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I moved, like I said,
Yeah.
to different countries. I went 2 years ago work in Myanmar where you don't speak the language, you cannot read, and you cannot understand nothing, and you figure it out. This is very uncomfortable. And by the way, there's a civil war there also.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
it's very very uncomfortable. But I kind of I find my comfort in the uncomfortable zone. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's difficult to explain.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, exactly. It's hard to, especially for a lot of people that are used to the comfort, and we've all been there at some points in our lives, right? Where you
right.
are comfortable and you know you want more, but at the same time you are comfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to actually make a change.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's when you were mentioning about the uncomfortable bit, I was thinking about, people start taking cold showers. In the beginning, it is very, very uncomfortable, and then
Yeah.
after a while, you get used to it, and sometimes it's like, okay, wow, now I want my
Yeah.
little cold
Exactly.
shower because you're used to that little adrenaline rush, and it's a very, very good point. And I love that you said that it's more difficult because you hear so much advice like you have to go out of your comfort zone, you have to step out of your comfort zone and do this all
Yeah.
these
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy things.
Easy to say.
Easy to say, yeah, exactly. um, so what role do you see like a community support for people that want to get out of their comfort zone? They want to, for example, these people that, as you said, are surrounded by naysayers, like their families are going like, oh, you could
Right.
try, but you'll never succeed. Or their partners are like, oh no, we have to get money, we have to be stable, we just want a stable household. What would you say to those people that, how can they find that community that will support them?
Yeah. Um, there's different ways to approach it. It starts with being conscious of what makes you comfortable. What are you afraid of the uncomfort? And it could be, for some people, is meeting somebody new. Like, what do I talk about, right? So then you can find, okay, let's try something. I go to this event, networking event tonight. I never been before. Just talk. Make yourself one goal. I'm gonna speak with one person tonight, someone I never talked to. Like, you try something and you see what make to what limit you can push it. Maybe you enjoy it so much you talk to 3 people that night. The same with food. I mean, human nature, we like to eat the same thing over and over and again. We get bored, we complain about it, but we still go back to the grocery and buy the same thing again. But try something new. Go to Lebanese restaurant if you never eat that, and try something new. Even if you cannot read it. I worked in China before, and everything was written in Chinese. I had no idea what to order. I just look at the plates around and say, "Oh, I want this. I want to try this." Um, so in a community, I think, especially as a family unit, is a bit difficult because you kind of you have your own kind of a ecosystem. If you put, you have your own friends, you have your own families, you have your surrounding, right? So you have to find activities that will bring you out of that and bring, let's say, an external element to it. It could be as a family going to some places where other families are, and then you start talking to other people. It could be as a family to go to a restaurant that, I mean, maybe you never eat Myanmar food and you find one in your area and you drive 2 hours together and let's see what happened. I don't even know what it looks like, but let's go eat there as a family. And maybe half of the family said, I don't like it, but you've tried something new. Or maybe you're gonna
Yeah.
love it. It's, oh, I need to find a recipe and replicate that at home. So find activities as if you're talking about the family environment. If you find activities that you never done before, either related to food or activities or people, whatever you feel comfortable trying. There's two effects. One, as a family, you start getting out of your comfort zone, which is good for everyone. You practice being uncomfortable. Second thing is, I believe that you're gonna tie the link between the family members, because you are living an experience together. You know, people connect more when they have an experience that they live together, not on their phone each and order takeout and eat at their own room, whatever. There's no connection, there's no experience. But go to a place, go to hike somewhere you've never been before together and get exhausted, maybe get
Yeah.
stuck for 2 hours there because,
Yeah.
you got lost or something. You have something to talk about. You made yourself uncomfortable. Next time, say, wasn't that bad. We can do that again. Next time we go for a bigger hike. And then as a family, you get closer.
Yeah.
And you realize that
Yeah, yeah.
even with your spouse, I think it might actually spark back, especially if you've been longer together, more than 5, 10, 20 years together. This kind of a routine. There's no spark anymore most of the time. And sometimes just getting something exciting together kind of spark something else. You may come home tonight and, get closer for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. And yeah, it reminds me of we as a family recently decided to on most mornings whenever we can we'll go out for a little run just as a
Right?
family. Just a short, maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And kind of to start the day like that, also without any mobile devices around. We're just running around
Right.
here, and we're in the countryside anyway, so it's lovely. And it makes
Exactly.
such a difference to kind of start that day without technology and being a bit
Right.
uncomfortable because you obviously
It
when
is,
you
especially for kids, I can imagine.
yeah, exactly at 7 a.m. going out for a run. But it's great, I feel better after that. The family feels better after that, and it's just fun. You could do like
Right.
little games. You could do run backwards. You can do little sprints. You can
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
Brings back
just
the
wonderful.
energy.
Yeah, exactly. You have to do like little things every day that make you uncomfortable, without
Right, right, right.
without necessarily making a huge step. It's the little daily activities that compound.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's very bit more specifically. So somebody that like a man that wants to start a company, just
Right.
maybe just working for himself, but he wants to find that community of supportive people around him. What would be the best way for that particular person?
There's different things. One of the trick to outperform yourself is surround yourself with people that already have what you want. So you can find, of course, having a mentor or coach always help because that serve that
Yeah.
purpose to a certain
Hmm.
degree. They serve as a cheerleader, as a guide, as a tool, and also as a kick in the butt when you need a kick in the butt, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
our role as a coach or mentor. But beyond, you need to. It could be even online. You see a lot of entrepreneur group on Facebook or on LinkedIn that people exchange some ideas, post some motivation. What I don't find enough yet, and might actually start it, is I like to have a community where people expose their mistakes, right? Because we
Okay.
always see in entrepreneurship the success. There's a ton of them everywhere, but can we actually see the failure of entrepreneur? Because
Hmm.
that's going to be motivation as well. So, oh, if this guy failed and went back up again and succeed after, okay, first of all, I learned from his mistake.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm is human, like
Hmm.
I am. I'm going to do mistakes too. But yeah, social media groups is a good way to exchange. However, just a bit of notice here, there's a lot of scammers out there.
Hmm.
So you have to be careful who you
Oh
talk
yeah.
to. But it's good just to visit, exchange. I think I still believe in the human side of it. So one-on-one, like mentor or coaches, or maybe even group of entrepreneur as webinars, stuff like that, where you can exchange. If you have a certain industry, like if you're in the food industry or if you're in high tech, then you go to events like trade show and fair trade, even if you haven't started yet. I think one of the best way, if you want to start a business in the industry, look into what are the events of that industry coming up near you, or even if you want to travel to somewhere,
Hmm.
even if you don't have a business, you visit. You kind of
Yeah.
get a feel of what's happening, what are the trends, who's in that business, how does it look like, and you learn, and then you come back with more ideas before you even start your business. But it's a good way also to network. You might end up talking to a few people in some booth there. So, oh, I'd like to talk to you later. I want to pick your brain on something. And then you start making your own network of
Yeah.
entrepreneur. And it could be entrepreneur in the same things that you do or entrepreneur of completely different things, right? You may start a food business and have people which are IT entrepreneur or AI designer or whatever it is. Then you get different learning, different perspective that may actually help you down the road.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's always the best thing to do, to learn and surround yourself with people that already are where you want to be. That's what I did with one of my businesses. I had it was kind of localized business, so it wasn't an internet business,
Right.
and I went across the country talking to people that already had that business, but wouldn't be
Yeah.
like a direct competitor because it's quite localized. And that was great. You'd be surprised how willing people are to actually talk about
They are.
what they learned, the mistakes they made, the lessons they learned from that. And people are, they spend so much energy, like their little baby, right? Their little company, their
Yeah,
little
yeah.
business, or the big business, doesn't matter. But they're so happy to share what they learned.
Yeah.
And
Entrepreneur, they love to talk, so that's easy. Easy
yeah,
to
yeah,
get them
exactly,
talking.
exactly. It's really, I found it such a loving experience as well. People really like having their little community of fellow entrepreneurs as well. They can talk
Right,
to.
right, right.
Yeah, especially if you
Yeah,
are
but
surrounded by family members that are critical, or
exactly.
it happens.
You, because you need support. Whatever you do as an entrepreneur, you will need support at some point. It could be technical support, but mostly it's going to be a personal support. So like a cheerleader, I call them cheerleaders,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it could be your family. Hopefully, your family supports you. If they're not so much of a cheerleader, then you need a circle of people in your corner that support you and cheer you up, or give you
hmm
some advice, or mentor you, or guide you. The advice I would give is be careful who you listen to. And
yeah,
there's a quote, I can't remember the name
hmm
of the person, but they said, if they don't have what you want, don't listen to them.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, people are quick at giving advice, right?
yeah,
"Ah, if you want to get rich, you need to do this, this, this.
hmm
Bro, you're poor. What
yeah,
are you talking about, right? Oh, you should start a business, do like this, this, this.
hmm
Man, you work 9 to 5 all your life, you never start a business. So they don't
yeah,
have what you want. Don't
hmm
listen to them. But people, it's not a bad thing. They want to give advice. They want to help you, but they're
hmm
not in a position to help you. If a
yeah,
successful entrepreneur give you an advice, now you listen. But I
hmm
would say even more so if people fail in business, listen. Because people listen to the people who succeed. And even as a coach, myself, I failed many times. I succeed also many times. But if there's one coach come to me and say, I had one business, I succeed and I sold it for 10 million, you have nothing to teach me, right?
hmm
You never failed. You don't know how to fight. You
yeah,
don't know how to fall and get back up again. This is what I need as an entrepreneur. I don't need to know your success story. I can read your book. But I
hmm
need someone that failed and experienced the pain. Then it can teach me how to do it. Because I
yeah,
will experience pain as well.
yeah. I love it. It's turning any challenge into a fun learning experience, because that's what challenges are, right? That's how you learn anything in school.
Right.
That's how you learn before school. Everything is a challenge. That's how you learn.
It
You
is.
can you
If
can
you see it
either
like this, yeah.
yeah, exactly. You can either make it a big drama and then have a, a complete breakdown, or you can say, what can I learn from this, and how can I avoid doing this in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I love
fail,
it.
you move on. You,
Yeah,
you do again. The same
exactly.
with emotion. And by the way, that's another thing that could be applicable for the family business environment as well.
hmm
It's been proven, I've seen research on it, that an emotion, especially the negative emotions, last 90 seconds in the human brain.
hmm
90 seconds. So
Yeah.
if you're angry, if you're disappointed, it lasts 90 seconds.
hmm
The rest of the time is ourself that bring back that memory again and again and again because we want to feel that emotion again. But you that's your fault, right? It's up to you. But that's the thing is if after 90 seconds, like, okay, allow yourself to
hmm
live that emotion for
Yeah.
even 10 minutes, for an hour if you want. Get angry at your spouse and go take a walk. But when your back is finished, this doesn't exist anymore. It's not in your brain anymore. But
Yeah.
it's a human tendency. We want to repeat that emotion over and over and again. And 2 days later, we say, oh, I should have answered that. I should have said that. It's,
Yeah.
it's too late.
Yeah.
You're doing it to yourself, right?
Yeah. 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 I presume you also do lots of exercises about like being in the present and actually focusing what you're doing right now,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to bring the whole baggage of all your programming, your childhood, with
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
when you try and move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Travel
Yeah.
light.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So, thank you very, very much for this conversation. I absolutely loved it. Is there any advice you would give to men that are kind of on the edge of wanting to start a business, but are kind of can I do it? Can I not do it? What would your advice be?
If there's one advice I would say is fear not. And that's very general. You're going to have a lot of assumptions. And like you said before, you're going to find a million excuses not to do it. That's a factory of excuses is never ending. You can have 1,000 excuses if you want to create one. But instead of trying to find excuses, find a way that you want to do it. There's something I use when I coach people. I said, don't ask yourself, can I do it? Instead ask, how can I do it? It just change a word. And sometimes, and there's a few things I use like this is, if people, have you done this? I never done this. Change it for, I haven't done this yet. So that gives a perspective, everything is possible. But the thing is really, really a mindset. And there's a lot of quote I use. And one of them is, if you know that you wouldn't fail, would you do it?
Yeah.
You know, deep inside, do you feel that that's something you want to do? Forget about the excuses. You're going to find 1,000 of them. And as a coach, I can destroy every single one of them. Promise you. You come to me with excuses and reason not to do it, I'm going to destroy every single one of them. Because they're all assumptions. They're all limiting belief that you have not to do it. Because it's your upbringing, because it's the surrounding, the society. It's not your potential.
Absolutely.
So yes, if you want to do something, if you feel that you want to do something, fear not, consult, ask a mentor, ask a coach, get into networking, ask people that have done it before, and they're going to change your perspective.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's all possible.
Everything's possible.
Perfect. It's all possible. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your
Good.
time and this lovely
It was
conversation.
a pleasure.
And thank you very much and have an amazing day.
Thank you, Mark. Have a good one.